Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how to create a simple website with blogs with the Python Django framework. So the Python Django framework, it's a framework that helps you to rapidly develop a secure and maintainable website. The framework itself is very organized and is probably one of the most used frameworks in Python. There are other frameworks like Flask, but Django is probably the most popular framework that is used for web app development. So it's mostly used in the back end of a website for creating really dynamic content and user interactive content. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to start creating a web application or website with Django. I'm going to touch on the basics in this particular tutorial, and from there we're going to take it up to doing more complex stuff. So let's get started. Yeah, so what you see here is basically the build up of what Django is. So Django has a way to organize the files. So what you will see mostly and what you would actually need to edit most of the time is these URLs file, the views file, and the template and the models file. So I'm going to show you how to create this, and you can actually see here how they all work together. At the end, what we want to see is what we give the website is the HTTP request, and we want to get a response in the website. So when you type in a web address, you are given a request, and when the website shows up and it displays, you are getting the response. And in the back end, Django kind of provides all this framework in order to give you the right response. So how do we get started in this? So here I have a working environment. Basically, I have a working environment in VS Code. And if you have not seen my video on VS Code, where I think VS Code is a very good way to get started for starters or for beginners, you can see that in one of the cards that in this video. And it's very easy and useful for me because I don't really have to I can basically just work in the VS Code environment and not really bother myself about every other attachment around it. So here I'm gonna start a terminal session. You can see the terminal here. I have environment, so I'm gonna activate the environment. So, well, if you don't know how to do this, don't worry. As long as you have a Python or installed, and you can access Python from this terminal, then everything should work fine. And if you don't have Django installed, you can just do pip install Django. And in my case, is already installed, so you can see that it says requirement already satisfied. So that means we can get started already. So the first thing you need to do is to create your project. So what the project does is to create a directory where all your files, all your project files or Django files are going to be in for the project. So in order to do that, I can do Django admin start project. Let's call this website or blog site. Okay, so you can see here my Explorer in the VS Code is open, and immediately this blog site directory has been created. And if I open the blog site, you would see that there is another directory inside where we have the URLs, settings, WSGI, manage pi. So all of these files have been created automatically by Django. So what we need to do is now start working with these files in order to create our website. It's possible for us to run something from this just to see a default Django session here. So we can just do Python manage. Okay, I have to go into the cd blog site. So let's do python manage the py run server, and now the server is already there. However, it says you have 17 unapplied migrations. Your project may not work properly. Of course, we've not really done anything, but we just want to see the output of this. So I control click here, and it says nothing, page not found. There's nothing on the website. So basically, this is expected, but it shows that our Django session is actually working. So I'm going to close that, and we're going to try to start working with a blog. So in our blog, we want to create a blog site that has like a list of blogs, and we can see the details of the blogs, and all of this works together, and it's basically what you will see on a normal blog site. So in order to do that, we have to create an application inside this project. So the way Django works is that each of the features that you want to add to your website can be bundled together as an application. So it makes it easy to move this application from one project to another, and also makes it more organized with the way Django works. So in order to create an application, let me stop this. I will just say Python startup blog. And you can see immediately a blog directory has been created inside the blog site. So you can see this. Now we have admin, apps, models, test, py, views. And so these are basically what you need to work on for your application. And the next thing we need to do now is to, because we already created this blog site, this blog application, we now need to allow Django to be able to load this application. And this is the settings file. I'll close this for a while. And what you see here is basically all the settings involved in your Django environment. There's a lot of things that you can change here, but right now I don't really want to go into this. As we go on, you will start understanding what each part of this settings file stands for. But it's easy. It's good to just look through and see, the different parts, base directory, installed apps. You really want to look into here, installed apps. These are the apps that are already been installed, default apps that Django installs for you. And these are templates. We'll talk about templates later, and other applications and database. Actually, we need to specify a database. So in this case, we don't really need to change anything because we're just getting started, and a database has already been chosen for us, SQLite 3 in this case. So we're not doing so much, so we can leave the database alone as it is. But what we want to change here is to add our blog. So what we do here is type blog, and like that. So with that, our blog application has been added to the website. And like I said, we don't really need to do anything with database right now, so we can leave that alone for a while. Next is to look at the URLs. So you have to find a way to manage your URL. And in this file here, urls.py is where Django manages the URL. Basically, matching some URL patterns with the models and the views that you have already created. Now we don't have any view. If you open here, there's nothing here. If you check here, models, there is nothing, and all of the places too, they're really nothing. So we're gonna populate all this. But now let's talk about the URL. So in our blog application, Django by default adds this URL from the admin. Of course, we're going to talk about the admin later. However, where we need to add the URL from, we need to allow Django to be able to see the URLs from our application inside the main project. So we'll go to the main project URLs. Oh, this is it. Then we would add our blog URLs. So we can do that by saying path blog. Then so include In this case, we are including URLs from our blog. So we say include blog.urls, not blogs, blog.urls. Then that's all, I think. Yeah, this one thing here. Okay, here we need to import include. So now include has been imported. Now when we add a URL to our we have not created this yet, but when we add URLs to our blog application, then the main project can find that URL. So what we need to do now is to create a URLs file. So you can easily do that by clicking this. I'll just type urls.py here, and now we've created a URLs file in our blogs. Well, the first URL to usually have in a website is the index, that is the home page. So because we have only one application in our website right now, it is okay to add the URLs in our blog application. I mean, to make our blog application the index URL. So I'm going to type that in now from Django.urls import path. So then from import views. So in this case, we're going to be working with views. What I said before, that URL is basically matching a pattern of string that is expected on the website with some views that we're going to program in the app. So it's necessary to add this line, and later we will see how these views work. And now you say URL patterns equal to, let's add that and say path. So for home page, we just do this and say views dot index, right? And the name, this is like a short name for it, index. So that's it. We've added a URL that maps to our index. So whenever a person types the index or the URL for our home page, it should match the views.index. You will see that there's no blog.views.index yet, but we're going to add that now. So we save that, and now we want to create an home page. However, let me just show you quickly how most of the parts of the website is going to work. So these are the models that we would have in our website. And basically, models are Python objects that define the structure of the application of an application data, and it provides the mechanism to manage or query records in the database. So you can imagine this like records, each record type in our database. So we would have record for blogs, we would have record for authors, we will have record for blog comments, and we would have record for user. So under this record, we will also have members of that record, the title of a record, the description of that record, the author who made that record. And each blog also would have an absolute URL, that is a URL that defines that blog. And probably we need also to create a name for that object. So this is where you have the string and it get absolute. So the same thing for author should have name, a bio, and for a blog comment also you should have author, you should have description, you should have a post date, and you should have a blog that the comment is under, so we can link it to that. And I want you to see something here, the relationship between each of the models I explained here. So in this case, typically we would have many blogs that matches to one author. So you would expect that an author can create many blog posts, and also you can have many comments under one blog. You cannot have many blogs to just one comment. So this is why you have one to many here and many to one. And also you can have many comments created by one user, so many to one. and of course you would have only one user uh, who is actually the same author is possible. So it's just one-to-one matching. Understanding this would allow us to be able to choose the type of the field that we use to create the model. So with that done, we're going to go ahead to create the model. So in order to do that, I'll go to models here, nothing here yet. Okay, just one tip here. If you're like me and you have many Python installations in your PC and you want to choose the right one, and the way to do that is to click the bottom left here, Python, and here you can see all the Python environments or installations. And I'm working in the Django lab, so I'll click the Django lab here, and so that I can take advantage of all the linting and to check my code as I'm writing. So now let's write the models for our website. So first we want to import some packages. So I'll say from date time import date. I would need this to be able to import to use date type in. So we need this to be able to use date format in our fields. Next, we need to import for users, field users. We need to import a package that allows us to have users on our website. So I'll say from Django or contrib.auth import user and models. So import user. Yep. So next, for to have absolute URLs for models, we need to use the reverse method. So from Django URLs import reverse. Okay, that's good. So now we start creating our class. Basically, models are in a class form because we are importing from inbuilt Django model. So we don't need to create a class from scratch. We just need to inherit from the Django models. Then we just add the fields that we need in the class. So first I'm going to create a class author. Inherit from models.model. Okay, done. So now we create the fields. So the first field I'm going to create here is name equals to models dot foreign key. So what does foreign key? Foreign key is basically provide a many-to-one relationship, like I explained before. So because each author is going to be unique, so that's why we need a foreign key for the author. So we're using user here, and we want to select what would happen when we delete an author. So in this case, we want models.cascade. Models.cascade. In this case, we can still retain the data for the author after it's been deleted. So not all the data is lost after the author has been deleted. So now bio, we create a bio for the author, which will be models.text field. Let's choose char field because it's going to be more, it's going to be shorter. So character field in this case, because a bio is basically like a short write-up or a description of the author. Okay, for our char field, we're going to specify the max length, in this case 200. Let's specify 200 for the max length, and help text, just like a default text that we would have in the field before anything is being typed. So we just say write. Okay, so that's done. Now let us add the function for get absolute URLs. Basically, this is what you would do in most of the classes. It's more like a boilerplate function. So I'm going to define get absolute URLs normal. So let me write returns the URL. Okay, so this is where we use the reverse function. Reverse so this author detail is gonna be the URL that we use to define a particular author detail. So we're gonna do this later. And also the get URL has to get absolute URL has to pass an argument. So this is the argument that we're gonna use that represents each instance of the author. So we say args equal to str string self.id. Okay, and finally we're going to create a function for the name of this class. So self here, and so we're just going to return the name. In this case, don't need to do that. Self.name. Okay, so let's see, is there a problem here? Everything seems to be good. We need to finish this. Okay, format there. And now let's add a model for the blog. So the same way, models.model. So for blogs, of course, let's put some doc string there. Okay, let's define the fields. The title of the model is going to be char field, models.char field. In this case, just specify max length 200. What else for the author? Also models Frankie. The author has to be unique also, so we use our user just like in the authors. So user, and the same thing on delete models.cascade, and description so models dot also char field in this case, and max length, let's make it because we want the description probably longer, so let's say 500. Let that be done. And for post date the models date field, and we'll specify that we can have a null date and we can also have a blank date. Yep, so that is done. And finally the body of the post, so we use text field in this case, and well, no maximum length, so that's good. Now let's define the functions. We say define get absolute URLs self. Probably I'm just gonna copy over here and change some things. This particular blog instance, just change this to blog video maybe. Yep, same. And finally also we can do the same thing for here. We copy and paste. Seems to be good. Format it. Then yeah, everything seems okay for now. Now let's add for blog comments. Model. Now let's add author. Just like before, probably we can just copy over here, say author, and we can have a description also, the description of the author. Let's copy the same thing. The author would have a post date also, so let's add a post date from here basically. And I think, yeah, the model, I mean the blog in this case, that is associated with a post, so we say models dot foreign key. In this case we're using the blog, so a user defined model, we do it this way. And on delete, the same thing. Not the same thing. We're just gonna set the blog null for, and null can be true in this case. And now let's define the name, so we just do the same thing here. And I think we have models already done. So what we've done here is define the models that we're going to use. We don't need to define user because we are importing user from Django, so that is going to be taken care of by Django. Now what we need to do is register these models by adding them in the admin. We would say that in the admin, we say from the models import author blog, then blog comment. Good. So we would say admin. So what this does is allow us to be able to add this data in the database using the admin side. I'm going to show you what the admin side is like. It's more like the back end of the back end, if you understand what I mean. So when you have your Django framework working, there's a way you should be able to add or be able to view the data. And so Django provides this GUI that you can use to view the data that is in your to manage the data in your site. So this is admin side is used for that. So we're going to register this in the admin site. So we say register admin site, register author. In this case, I'm just going to copy this and say blog. Okay. Next is to use this in the views. So I'm going to go back to Django codes. Now we have a URL setup. We have a model setup. Then now we have to set up the views. The views takes the template to present the data inside model to the user in the HTTP response. We're going to look at the views now. First, we just want to create an home page. So we're going to create an index view. Like if you check our URL here, we already have this views.index, but it's saying that there is no index. So now let's create the index or the home page for our website. This is done inside the views.py. So we're going to say define index. Then the argument, the argument is going to be request. Yep, and put some dot strings. So now we just want to output the number of blogs and the number of authors. So what we do is create variables for those and send that as the response of this view. So how do we do that? In this case, I want to output to show the number of blogs. So I say num blogs. We go to blog dot objects dot all dot count. Yep. Next, we want to output the number of authors. We'll say the author. So I realize I have not imported the authors, so I'm going to say from blog.models import author and blog. Basically, that is done. Objects dot all, then count. Same thing here. Now we're going to create a context. Context is like a dictionary that puts together all the variables that we're going to show in the in this view. So we're going to say context equals, so it's a dictionary, right? So we create the dictionary, we say num blogs, it's map it to the number of blogs, and same thing for num author, map it to the number of author. So when we work on our template, what we need to do, all we need to do is use these names in our template, and so the data from our view is sent to the template using these names. Finally, we return render. So render is just saying display the web page, and request, send request back. And what is the template that we're going to use? Index.html. So I've said many times about templates, but it's basically HTML files that define how the page looks. So we need to create this HTML file later, but here what we're saying that this view is going to send this data from our models to the to this index.html files, and the context equals to the context that we have created. So that should be all for the views. Now let's see if we can see what is already on our website. So what we need to do now is to apply the changes that we've made. And how do you do that? Basically 3-step process. We say Python, then make migrations. So you see that it adds this the models, the blog model, the blog comment, and the author model. Then finally we say migrate here. So it migrates. Now we can try to run server as we did before. Now let's go look at our website. Yeah, so you have a new problem. Template does not exit, so exception type template doesn't exit. So now what we need to do is to create a template of HTML. However, there's still one thing that we can do. If you go to the admin, because we already set up the admin, we have this, right? Which means that the backend of our website is already set up. We can log into this backend and add some data into the website. So, okay, maybe I should do this first. Add some like fictitious data. Then we'll create the index. Then we can now show it. So, but in order to do that, we need to create a super user. So a super user is like the highest type of user that can make changes in the admin website or in the website. So here I'm gonna go back here and try to create a super user. Okay, so it's the same thing, Python manage create super user. So it says username, should I use tjosh? Yes, use tjosh. My email address, tjosh.ome. I mean, it's not necessary, but of course, if you need my email address, now you have it. And my password, actually, the password is just anything that you put that you want to use. Make sure it's something that you can remember. So now I'm going to try to, let's run that again. And I'm going to try to log in to Josh here. And yeah, so it's, I'm going to like zoom into that. So now we have a website backend working. What we need to do now is to probably add some users. So I'm going to add one extra user here. Some suggestion here from something I've done before. So I'm going to like add that, create a password for that. And same. Done. So I have a password for this You can leave this for now. I mean, you don't really need this at the time. Go back home. I'm gonna create a blog. So I'm gonna say, well, getting started with Python the easy way. It's using some data that I've already inputted before. So let's add upside in this one description. So this is good. Post date today, body of this. This is how you get started with Python. One thing to note here is that if you remember the fields that we created for our models, I'm gonna come back here, models, close this for now. In the case of blogs, you can see title, author, description, post date, body. So basically what your model is doing is creating fields for your database. And here now in the admin website, in the admin site, we can input data into that field. I'm going to save this. I think that is all we need for now so that we can at least view what we have. So finally, let's create an index template. So in this case, I'm going to create a home page. So I'm going to create a inside a blog here. Let's close this. Blog migrations. We don't need this. So inside blog here, I'm going to create a template folder. Templates. So inside the templates, I'm going to create the index.html. Great. Basically, what I'm going to do here is just copy over the template template code, and I'm going to explain. You don't really have to worry about like what is in this head. Most templates would have this head. It's just look at the title of the page. Actually, it's not the title of the page, it's title of the website or this particular template. So it's probably wouldn't be shown on the page itself. And specify the encoding for the characters and the viewport. How is it going to be viewed? What is the width and height and the scale? And this is for Bootstrap. Bootstrap is more like a styling or style sheet for your website. And what we want to show is we want to show the number of authors, the number of blogs. Remember, we use number of authors in our index view. Let's check back. Number of authors, number of blogs, and number of blogs. So this should, match basically from the view. And now we can show this information on the website. So I'm just going to go back to the website and refresh, and it should work. It says the template not found. So we need to solve this problem. Where is this template? We have blog side, blogs. Okay, it's not in, it should not be inside blog. So I can move this outside blog into blog site. You see why it's really good to use VS Code. I can rearrange my files and folders here without even using a file manager, basically. So I've done that. Let's see if it's solved. Yeah. And so now it's welcome to my blog. There are authors. So there's a problem here. So maybe we should add one author and try to see the output. So let's add one author. Add author upside, in this case, very nice person. Doesn't get better than that. Okay, let's look at our author models. We need, I see the problem now. Same thing here. It's probably any problem. Same here. It's a big issue, I think. Can we? Yeah, okay, now it's updated. Let's see if this translates to our website. Okay, there's really a problem. It's showing that there is no author, so let's check this again. Okay, number of authors. So we see the problem here. Go back. I saved, so you can see the save. Go back. Oh yeah, that's good. So we have one author. So it's a big simple problem here, but of course now we have our website working. This is a very simplistic website, but what I've been able to show in this video is show you how to couple together basically the different codes in Django, and how to populate the URLs, views, the models, and the template. We've used a very simplistic template, and we can see the response here. And in the next one, we're going to develop the models, also other models. We're going to develop the views for the blogs, blog lists, and blog details, and we're going to make this website more interesting and more pleasing to the eyes. So I know this has been a long tutorial. If you enjoy this tutorial, please like, subscribe, and share with other people who would need this. I really appreciate that. And you can follow me on my social media pages on Instagram and Twitter at Toluwa Josh. And thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.